We've been talking about printmaking in art class, and today I'm going to show you how to do a marker print technique. This is a really fun, easy way to do some printmaking with supplies that you probably already have around the house. We're going to start with just a quarter-size piece of paper, a little piece of styrofoam, and some multimedia paper. You could probably also use cardstock on this as well. Now my styrofoam came pre-cut in a package like this, but you could also use the top of an egg carton or a to-go container or pretty much anything that's made out of styrofoam. Alright, step one, make your design. You want to do something that's nice and big and simple and it fills your space. You don't want to draw this thing teeny tiny or you'll have some difficulty seeing it and printing the details, but you're going to come around and just come up with some kind of design, nice and big that fills your paper. Now you take this and place it right on top of your styrofoam and you will trace over every single line that you drew, and it will dent your styrofoam underneath and transfer your design onto the styrofoam. See that? Okay? Now you're going to do that over the whole thing. Once you've done that, then you need to come back over it and trace it with your pencil again one more time, just to make sure that those indentations are nice and deep, because that part will be white when you print it. Everything else will be in color. Now you can see that I also came through and I added a few stripes in there. You can always add extra textures or anything else. Alright, so this one was actually already done, so I'm going to just kind of move on. Alright, now we're going to take our markers and we are going to color our printing plate. That's what this is a printing plate. Now I'm going to use all warm colors on this one. The best color blending happens when you use colors that are right next to each other in the rainbow or on the color wheel. I like to color over the whole entire plate like this, but if you wanted to, you could color each element separately, like maybe you want your heart one color, the background another color, and you don't even have to do a heart. You can come up with any design that you like, but it is best to keep it pretty simple, especially your first time around. You probably don't want to get too many small details because the lines thicken up quite a bit on the styrofoam. Alright, so I'm going to color the entire piece of styrofoam with my markers. This is not the paper, by the way, this is the styrofoam. Okay, now I'm just going to set that aside for just a minute. Here I have my multimedia paper. Now the hardest thing that we have had the most difficult thing we've come across is how wet to get the paper. If you get it too dry, it doesn't print well. If you get it too wet, the markers and colors smear just a little bit. So we learned that it's best to just barely get your paper shiny. You don't want it too wet though, because it'll turn soggy. So I'm just using a sponge and some clean water to dampen my paper just a little bit. Now I'm going to take my printing plate and turn it over, and I'm going to try to get 4 on my paper. So I'm going to line it right up here at the corner and use my fingers to press down on that plate. Nice and firm. Make sure that I press down the whole thing before I lift it up. I don't want my printing plate to shift around at this point because it'll mess up the print, so I want to try to keep it really still. You can see that I'm holding it with one hand while I press with the other. Alright, once you think you're ready, you can go ahead and peel that off and you have a nice little print. Okay? Now I want to show you some problems that we ran into. If your paper's too dry, it's really, really light. You don't get a very good print. If it is too wet, it smears. But if you have it just right, you get a nice clean print, a little bit more like this. Okay? And you can see I kind of had a little spot there that didn't show up quite as well. And I think what I did is I didn't press that down with my finger whenever I was pressing everything else. But that's why we're going to go ahead and do 4. We're going to see if we can get at least one good print out of this, and then we can cut these apart and do whatever we want with them. So that is marker printing.